Initiatives could be on the fast track as news on the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico seems to be getting worse each week. Craig Sieben of Sieben Energy Associates is here to talk about how this crisis could fuel new ideas on renewable energies. Welcome back, Craig.
Good to be with you this morning, Beejal.
So let's talk about the new ideas that could gain traction now.
Well, I think the president, number one, has said he's going to put major focus on this. That makes a difference. What the White House focuses on, if they really focus on it and focus on it hard, will drive investment, will drive legislation, will drive, just attention of the American public. And this is his moment.
He also talked about, in the speech this week, about new standards for buildings.
There were, in the Waxman-Markey legislation in Congress, there was a National Energy Building Code. There was also a renewable energy standard. That is not in the Senate version of the bill at the moment. So he did bring up three key provisions that were in that legislation when he spoke on Tuesday night.
He also talks about new standards so that more electricity can be gained from wind and solar power.
Yes.
And how realistic is that?
It's very realistic. Look, if if you drive, and in many places in the country now, windmills are popping up everywhere. The cost of solar cells, both for hot water and for electricity, are just dropping, really dropping, in part because of all the production going on in China and the other countries around the world that are putting a lot of focus on these technologies.
But we all know that transition to cleaner energy will be expensive for businesses large and small. I mean, what are we talking about as far as cost to businesses?
Well, what's interesting is that energy costs have dropped about 30% in the last 2 years. So price of a gallon of oil, maybe a gallon of gas was $4, then it went to $2, now it's $3. So if someone says something's going to be 20% more expensive or 30 or 40% more expensive, you kind of go, oh, that's too much. But in fact, prices vary all that way all the time. The president, I think, accurately said we can afford not to make this transition, and the cost will be relatively nominal in the long term.
Perhaps we may see even a greater push to make cars more fuel efficient and use more electric cars.
Well, the Obama administration's done a lot in the first 18 months of their presidency. That was one thing they already did, was to pass the most aggressive fuel standards for revision for autos and trucks. And now they might even do more.
Being more aggressive is what's necessary.
And electrification.
Okay.
I think that's a big opportunity.
We all know that there's a lack of political will in Congress, and the oil industry has pretty much kept America dependent on oil. Is that really going to change, though?
Well, it's good. It's good. It's a good living. You make good money. If you make oil and you sell it, they're profitable because we use a lot of it. Look, the president has to drive the agenda. He's let Congress come up with the plans and the specific issues. My opinion is that Congress will not act unless this president takes the action, because it's inertia is powerful, and interests are entrenched, and the president has to. I think he has got his presidency on the line with what he does on this
very issue.
On this very issue, because it's kind of George Bush's Katrina.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right or wrong, this is the issue where his leadership style and his he's accomplished a lot. He's accomplished stimulus, the financial legislation, healthcare. If he gets energy going into the midterms, it's huge in my view.
All right. Thank you very much. Craig Sieben of Sieben Energy Associates.
Good to be with you.